listening to my mom, Georgia Edson, on iCannabisRadio.com.
Hi, it is Monday, May 20th, and I am indeed Georgia, and you are indeed listening to iCannabisRadio.com. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's that time of the month, not that time of the month, but it's that time of the month where we have our friend Greg Daurer come in and do a cannabis history lesson for us. So we'll be doing that later in the show. We've got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. Unfortunately, the first thing that I want to talk about is a tragic event that occurred today in Oklahoma. We are really, our hearts and prayers go out to the people of Oklahoma. A monstrous tornado as much as a mile wide roared through the Oklahoma City suburbs Monday, flattening entire neighborhoods with winds up to 200 miles per hour, setting buildings on fire and landing a direct blow on an elementary school. Oh, no. Yeah. As of this afternoon, there were children that were missing. There wasn't a safe spot in the school, so the kids were in the restroom area. And so hopefully all is well with them. There are no confirmed injuries or deaths at the time of this report. But the storm laid waste to some of the buildings in Moore, south of the city. Block after block of the community lay in ruins with heaps of debris piled up where the homes used to be. Cars and trucks were crumpled on the roadside. The National Weather Service had issued an initial finding that the tornado was an EF4 on the tornado rating scale, the second most powerful type of twister. The volunteers and first responders are on site trying to clear debris. They have found some people under the rubble. So please do what you can to send positive vibes and or money that way. I know that there is already some way that you can text a number. I don't have that off the top of my head. I'm sorry. And send money to the victims of today's tornado. This has been such a strange month of May weather-wise. End of April, beginning of May was just kind of rough. April was snowy, then beautiful, then snowy, then beautiful. And, May has been really, really rainy. We are having some pretty significant thunderstorms here in Denver. And thunderstorms here are pretty rare. We get monsoonal rains this time of year. But this whole thunder and lightning thing is bizarre. And then the temperature has decreased a lot. It was in the 80s last week. It's in the low 60s, high 50s right now.
Some hail?
I was going to say it's perfect hail weather. We were up in Conifer, not this past Saturday, but a week ago Saturday. In the scope of an hour, we had, and I kid you not, rain, sleet, hail, snow, and a thunderstorm, all in the course of an hour. And then as we were driving away, it was full on snowing, and it all lasted a minute and a half or whatever. I mean, it was over pretty quickly, but wow, it was crazy. So anyway, our hearts really go out to the people of Oklahoma. It's so devastating. Nature can be just amazing in its strength and force. Now, this particular area also experienced a significantly damaging tornado in 1999. So this community is well-versed, unfortunately, in the horrors of the tornadoes. So
that's scary.
Yeah. So I have producer Chris, hi.
Hello.
And producer Sam and my special guest Greg all in the studio tonight. So welcome. Thanks, you guys, for being here.
Thank you.
So I have a video that I want us to watch, if that's okay. I want to get your opinions on what you guys think of this video. This is kind of an explanation of how much marijuana Coloradans smoke. Tell me if you think this is accurate, folks. It's coming right up. It's on our Facebook page as well. If you don't get to see it all, check it out on our Facebook page. Here we go. Sorry, I got some sound issues. That's okay. We're missing the commercial. That's perfect.
A few diamonds worth of
Colorado residents will use 2.2 million ounces of marijuana next year.
Smoke.
That's 142,000 pounds of pot. And it got us thinking, what does that much marijuana even look like? For maybe obvious reasons, we can't show you what 142,000 pounds of pot looks like, but we can show you something else. The study says that the average user would consume 3.5 ounces of pot a year. Now, you probably wouldn't buy that all at once. In fact, it would be illegal for you to buy that much at once. What you're much more likely to buy is this. This is 1/8 of an ounce, and it costs about $40, depending on the quality. The study's authors say Colorado could collect tens of millions of dollars in taxes from legal pot, just the way the tax man began collecting his cut once the 21st Amendment lifted prohibition. This being Colorado, we figured we'd give you a measurement you might be more familiar with. This is 33 gallons of beer right here. This is what the American Beer Institute said is the per capita consumption of beer in Colorado. That's 1 keg, 2 pony kegs, 3 growlers, 2 tonic bottles, and 1 pint. Cheers. For the Coloradoan, I'm Trevor Hughes.
So high, low, you don't know, in between. What do you think about 3.5 ounces per person per capita
Per year?
per year?
Only 3? That seems low to me. 3 ounces? I'm a medical patient. I can use 2. I don't know. I guess that depends on the person. I'm really bad at math.
You can use 2 ounces in a year?
He can possess 2 ounces at a time.
And that's 28. So,
I see what you're
I
saying.
guess if I'm a daily user, medical patient, and I am illegally allowed to possess 2 ounces, and I go to the store and I buy my 2 ounces, so I'm not going to the store anytime soon. It's 27. An ounce will probably last me 1 month. So no, 3 ounces.
So for you, that's low.
Yeah,
For
me
you,
that seems low.
For you, that seems low.
What about producer Chris?
What about you, Chris? What do you think?
Seems
What do you think
low.
for people?
Yeah.
Does that seem low or high to you? Now remember that we're talking about averaging this out over all the people in the state. So not just the current users, not just medical patients, but everybody.
I think
Everybody.
it's high because that's.
Yeah.
I think there's some people who are probably smoking like, 30 pounds a year. So that balance. That's how they
30
came up
pounds.
with the 3.5 ounces a person. I don't quite
Jeez.
see exactly how they came up with that number, but I'm not a researcher at Colorado State University, but I don't know. It seems reasonable to me that somebody would smoke 3.5 ounces, but some people would need more.
Yes.
And definitely there's some of us that smoke less.
Yeah,
I just find it
absolutely.
interesting that that somehow they believe the equivalent to 3.5, or the average per capita amount of beer consumed is a keg and a pony keg and some growlers and some tonic bottles and a pint. That seems like a boatload.
What's a pony keg? I don't even know what that
It's a
is.
smaller keg.
Oh.
Yes.
I love that term, pony keg.
Oh, I thought
It's
that'd be
because a pony
bigger.
could carry it.
Yeah.
It's because a pony could
Is that
carry
what
it.
it was?
And a growler? What is that?
I always remember.
Oh, I love
from-
growlers.
I always remember Pony Keg from the song Jackson that Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash would sing together. When I get in that city, I'll be dancing on a pony keg.
That'd be
great.
some good dancing because you couldn't move your feet very
In
much.
Colorado, I'd be dancing on a pony keg and 3.5 ounces of
And a keg and a couple of growlers and a couple of tonic bottles and a pint. I mean, I just
certainly tonic water to avoid the quinine. Quinine kills certain diseases that we really don't have much of in Colorado
Right.
anyway. But still, it's good to ingest every now and then a little dose of tonic water.
I just found the comparison so interesting, or in the idea that they felt like if they told people the amounts of beer that people average that per capita people drink in Colorado, that somehow that would make sense about the average cannabis that someone consumes. I don't understand the correlation to that at all.
Well, I guess because we just regulated marijuana like alcohol, as some people put it.
Well, and I certainly understand the regulation piece, but the comparison of consumption, I think, is really. I mean, especially since a beer you can get anywhere.
Pretty much.
You can get it at a restaurant. You can get it at a liquor store. You can get it at a bar. You can get it at a hotel. You can get it at your friend's house. You can get it at your dad's house. Cannabis.
Advertised more.
Yeah, the advertising is freer. Yeah, I mean, I just.
Yeah, and especially it's funny because I'm so personal because I don't drink. So I mean that's like zero drinks per year, and then for marijuana it's so much more.
Right. Well, and
me,
that's how these these averages or whatever come about, because there are people like you that are teetotalers for one substance but use others, and I balance you out for the cannabis use.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Do you guys think that there is going to be a change in the amount of consumption of cannabis at the point in time that retail stores open?
I think it will go up.
Probably. I mean, like in Amsterdam, New Amsterdam, you're gonna have tourists. It's gonna be. I can't wait to see who. I wonder who the first person to buy, their, either the first in-state ounce or the first out-of-state.
Quarter.
Yeah, quarter could be that. I want to know who that is because that's cool.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Eventually, I think it will go down. Eventually, it'll be boring. That's what I want it to be. I want it to be boring. Grandma's medicine. Like, okay, who cares? It's got some marijuana. Who cares?
It's just a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I have this whole theory that there is going to be this rise just because of the novelty of it all. Mm-hmm. That people are going to be so interested in just the fact that they can do it. I know I fell to that. I think I told you on election night. I was like, I'm going to smoke. And, everyone that I was around was like, really? Wow. Why? Because I'm also a medical patient. So it's not like I couldn't have smoked in October. There wasn't anything special about that day. But I kind of felt like because we had just done this monumental, amazing, historic thing that I wanted to partake. I ended up not doing it because I took a step back and I'm like, why? What changed in these 20 minutes? Since the election results were confirmed, or at the point in time that it was signed into law. But yeah, I mean, I think there are going to be people who are just going to be so excited to go into a store and purchase a joint and a brownie. And possibly get excited about, some puppy chow and a drink, and maybe get a gram. Yeah. So I think we'll see this insurgence for a while, and then as people kind of decide, all right, well, the novelty has worn off, and I really, every once in a while, I'd like to smoke some marijuana, so I'll have a little bit on hand, just like I have a bottle of booze in my liquor cabinet for just in case. I don't drink it every day.
Or if somebody comes over, I guess.
For somebody comes over, you'd like to be able to offer them a nice little something,
right.
something.
Yeah, like some cigars. I don't smoke them unless my friends are over. So I mean,
you
not
smoke
personally.
a cigar?
No.
Okay, but I liked that as an example. Yes, I have some cigars just in case.
For good times.
For good times.
But I always throw up. So if we're gonna have good times, I'd always have cannabis.
Right, because you don't want to throw up, because throwing up inherently means bad time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't like throwing up.
Because of a cigar?
Yeah, once.
Oh, well, nicotine will certainly do that. Oh, absolutely.
But it's a learning experience. I don't like that. I like cannabis. I never throw up on cannabis. Some people have. I've seen it. It's like, that's not for you. Smoke a cigar.
That's right.
That is not for you. Yeah, I mean, just like anything, people kind of have to know their limits, and I think that's one of the things that I'm maybe a little bit concerned about, and I want to figure out how to make sure that the customers in my store, for example, are very well educated. I mean, I don't want to sell somebody something that's without warning them about really what it's going to be like. Here's how edibles affect you. No matter what, they're going to affect you like this. Do not drive a car, especially.
Or it's going to be a learning curve for a while.
It's going to be
a lot of people, and people who are out-of-towners. I just wonder where out-of-towners are going to go to smoke. I mean, you come into Denver, you're a conventioneer, you go buy your marijuana, and there's no social club, there's no Amsterdam-style coffee house.
Right.
Well, I guess some people say they're going to open these places and fight the laws no matter what, but what are they supposed to do? Smoke it on the 16th Street Mall?
No, that's only for shooting heroin.
In their hotel room?
Well, yeah, basically. I mean, when I came here from out of state, I got it, like everyone else got it, from a friend, thank God. They have a friend out here, and I bought a $10 wooden pipe, and I smoked it on the. Thank God I had a porch, and I was like, it's decriminalized. So and I looked at it, it's beautiful. But yeah, I guess you make a sploof or something.
Well, and I think that you're right. I think that people are going to go to their hotel rooms and kind of like they do now, and put a towel under the door and those kinds of things and figure that out. But you're right. I mean the tourism. I mean, sorry, I'm thinking and talking at the same time. But my guess is that there will be more cannabis-friendly hotels. That will have smoking rooms, and those smoking rooms will be for cigarettes and for cannabis. There may be some bed and breakfasts that decide to cater to a cannabis community, and I hope all those things happen. I mean, I think it would be good for business for people to say, how many of these bed and breakfasts have little happy hours, wine and hors d'oeuvres, light hors d'oeuvres in the evening time, and they would be able to have little cannabis happy hours.
Some of them give you brownies, so maybe now they'll give you a pot brownie.
Maybe they will.
I want it to be like a little old woman, with their husband,
right?
Retired, and they're friendly to the cannabis community. And bake brownies, a little fudge.
I think
got it on my mind.
I think it sounds great. Let's write this down.
Yes.
We're going to take a quick break because it's that time again. And you're listening to iCannabis Radio. My name is Georgia, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Whether you are a commercial grower or cultivate as a hobby, No Dough Urban Garden Supply is Denver's first stop for your hydroponic grow needs. With a wide range of products including House and Garden, Botanicare, and Fox Farm, their knowledgeable staff can get you started on your first garden or help you with your well-established business. No Dough Urban Garden Supply is located in downtown Denver at 1330 27th Street, 4 blocks north of Coors Field near MMD of Colorado. They are open 6 days a week from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Call 303-296-3424 or visit them on the web at www.nodoughurbangardensupply.com.
Are you a medical marijuana patient or interested in finding out how to become one? Contact Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. Conveniently located on Hamden and Tamarack in the Whole Foods parking lot behind Proof of the Pudding. Mile High Wellness offers a wide variety of edibles, hashes, and some of Colorado's top strains. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern. 3525 South Tamarack, Suite 110, on the corner of Hamden and Tamarack. 720-382-8516. Mile High Wellness, where your care is our concern.
The National Cannabis Industry Association would like to thank its members who represent the leading professional businesses in America's emerging legal cannabis market. NCIA is the only organization that has unified legitimate cannabis business across the nation to fight for real reform in Washington, D.C. For more information or to make your business a member, visit us online at thecannabisindustry.org.
Hi, welcome back. Thanks so much. So we were just talking a little bit about the projected marijuana usage of 3.5 ounces per person per capita in Colorado, and what I think is an unbelievable amount of beer that apparently people drink on average. A keg, a pony keg, a few growlers, a couple bottles, and a pint. Wow.
Maybe 2 shooters.
And a shooter. Seems like a lot. So this weekend was
A bottle of vanilla extract.
and some mouthwash. This weekend in Denver was one of my favorite events, the Kaiser Permanente Colfax Marathon and Half Marathon and Urban 10 Miler, and they have a 5K in there too. And it's a big deal. Over the course of the years that the Colfax Marathon has been running, it has gone from a kind of dull course where literally Colfax is the longest commercial street in the country, and it stretches for miles and miles and miles and miles, and is all commercial. And there are parts of it that are really shady and interesting, and there are parts of it that are really cool and hip. And the Colfax Marathon used to go out east of Denver on Colfax for 13.1 miles and turn around and come back. And they didn't close the road down, and so you had a lane to run in, and it wasn't particularly interesting, and people didn't really like it that much. But it's really evolved into one of the premier runs in Colorado, if not in the West. And so that run was this weekend. Congratulations to all of the runners. It is a lot to to train for and to prepare for, and it's definitely a fun event. And for any of those professional runners, there has been a change in the doping regulations for Olympic athletes. So according to ABC News, pot testing standards at the Olympics are loosening but not gone. Oh. Good news, pot-smoking Olympians. The agency that sets forth the rules around Olympic drug use is loosening its standards for marijuana.
It's yay for my cousin. Yay.
Is your cousin Olympian?
Winter, yeah. He's training in Steamboat Springs for the Winter Olympics. He's
what is he?
Good. He's really young, though.
What does he do?
I think he skis and snowboards, but he's super athletic. I mean, I don't even want to put words in my mouth, but he...
nice.
And I'm sure his, father likes to smoke.
I'm
cannabis.
sure his father smokes cannabis. The policy, basically the new rules will test for people smoking in the hours or days before a competition instead of weeks and months before. The policy change might affect other international sports as well. More than 600 other sports associations use the code set by the group, the World Anti-Doping Agency, the WADA, the WADA. Now you might be wondering, why is pot considered a performance-enhancing drug anyway? And so scientists don't really see it that way. But as you know, drug policy isn't always based on science. David Nutt, a professor of neuropsychopharmacology at Imperial College in London, shared his thoughts with Reuters in August of 2012. He said there's no evidence cannabis is ever performance-enhancing in sport, and since its use is legal in a number of countries, there's no reason why it should be banned by the WADA. I can't think of any sport in which it would be an advantage, and it seems ludicrous that someone could quite legally smoke cannabis in Amsterdam in the morning and then come over to London in the afternoon and be banned from competing. He made these comments after an American judo player was expelled from the London 2012 Olympic Games for testing positive for marijuana, as we all remember. If you're not familiar with the sport, it's more or less two people in a death grip trying to flip each other over. See, some people get dropped on their heads. Never mind, it's a dumb joke. Anyway, you really want to light a spliff before facing the best judo players in the world? Be my guest. I'll be there watching it on YouTube. Well, you might have heard one or two musicians or artists smoking marijuana for inspiration. Researchers seem that it doesn't give sports players an edge. Yet pot has been banned by the WADA since the organization was created in 2003, apparently amid pressure from the U.S. Richard Pound, who was the first head of the organization and is still on its board, told Golf Week that American sports officials wanted to see it added to the list of forbidden substances. From a sports perspective, I was rather ambivalent towards marijuana, Pound said. As we morphed into the WADA, the USA was very keen to have it included. Of course, even with the new policy, athletes will still be tested for weed. It'll just be a test for very recent use. The idea is to prevent another Michael Phelps moment, one where one's man's bong hits humiliates an entire country. But with the drug now legal for recreational uses in Colorado and Washington and medical uses in 19 other states plus the District of Columbia, the ban could be starting to look a little overly political, if you don't think that already. So that's pretty exciting. I mean, there are athletes who would say that for some recreational activities like rock climbing, being able to use cannabis to help with concentration is very, very beneficial. But I don't see a lot of tennis players thinking that cannabis is going to help their serve.
No, it's not. Unless you put, I don't know how. Yeah, cannabis doesn't help. It helps you go to sleep. Helps you relax.
And the relaxation could be beneficial for folks. I mean, if you get pre-competition jitters, and this is a good way to be able to relax. I think that could be...
Might be pain relief for some people, like long distance endurance type stuff.
Surely, absolutely, but not performance enhancing. And so all those medications for pain and relaxation and those kinds of things, all those pharmaceuticals, those are okay.
Right.
Provided they're not performance enhancing.
What about, performance enhancing, I guess, because I always was told you smoke marijuana and then your lungs kind of expand. So you can take in more air. That's what I was always told. I don't know if that's true. So I guess for Michael Phelps, that's a great thing.
That is a great thing for him. That's right.
So that's a performance-enhancing drug. And if you're an athlete and you're training and you have a time where you should be training, I don't want you to use weed in that time because you're training. You're an athlete, and I want to see you to your best ability. But if you're allowed to use other stuff, that's cheating, in my opinion. If you're using, except for cream, but if you're using other even like stuff you get at GMC. It's like, oh, dude, that's just what can you do just by yourself, without all that stuff. But if you're not in that season of training or competing, I think you can do it because it's cannabis. It's come to Colorado.
Well, and you know what? I mean, I think that if you're a professional athlete, make your decision on what's best for you. If you want to continue your sport and be the best you can possibly be, and cannabis you feel enhances it, great. If you feel it's detrimental, don't use it.
Right.
But let people make these decisions on their own. But again, all that the doping agency does is forbid substances that will give somebody an unfair advantage. That that substance use will be the difference between their personal skill and someone else's who isn't using a drug, a la
I agree with that.
Armstrong. So, but I think that's a huge step in the right direction. I think that's a huge step in the right direction. I mean, I love the fact that there's no reason to test for current cannabis.
Yeah. It kind of makes me pissed off that there was the U.S. that, is always pressuring these other countries to adopt our prohibitionist policies. I don't agree with it. And what was this somebody said, quoted in that article about it humiliated a whole country as bong hits? I'm wondering what country I belong to because I did not feel humiliated by that.
See, I didn't feel humiliated by his. I felt humiliated by the reaction that people had to Michael Phelps, and the fact that he lost contracts, and that no more Kellogg's products, and that he was told that he had to apologize to clean up his character. That was humiliating to me. That was embarrassing to me that we live in a society in which this amazing gold medalist, the best swimmer of all times, was told that he had to apologize for something, for using a natural herb. I mean, to me, that's humiliating.
Yeah. Did he apologize for using alcohol as well when he did? Well, that's ridiculous because he should have also apologized for doing that. If he's going to apologize for doing anything.
Well, and especially if his body is a temple, the last thing he wants to be doing is injecting alcohol into it.
Right. Yeah, and we all know that's worse. So why is he apologizing?
A lot of athletes.
We love you, Michael.
A lot of athletes who like to use it in conjunction, whatever their sport is. That's noted. Basketball players.
I was just going to say that.
I read a great piece by Tommy Chong. I'll mention a couple of High Times articles. I read a great piece by Tommy Chong a few years ago, or maybe it was an interview with him, where he talks about weightlifters in California. How he used to lift weights with Arnold and those other guys, and all of them smoked marijuana. And they all tried to get as much into their lungs as they could. And the supremely macho guy was the guy who get the most smoke in his lungs. And Tommy Chong, would just take a little hit and cough, He didn't want to be part of a competition like that, and I don't blame him. But it just goes to show the times that, the governor of California was doing it. And there was a great piece in High Times about a year ago about the NFL. It's got one of the strictest policies against marijuana use. And what better drug have we found recently provides neuroprotective qualities? These are, huge men smacking against each other.
That's right.
And giving themselves severe brain injuries. And the substance that would naturally help them heal or alleviate some of these bad side effects they're experiencing is illegal in most places. Even now it's against the NFL's rules. You can't be a Denver player and smoke,
Doesn't always make sense now, does it? Doesn't always make sense. But at least the anti-doping agency is deciding that they're not going to be pressured by the United States anymore. I'm not exactly sure why it matters if someone has been smoking relatively recently before a competition, that's how they changed the rule. But you know what? It's a step in the right direction, and I'm happy about that. I'm definitely happy about that. All right, really quick, I want to tell you a little bit about Chicago before we take our first break. Governor Pat Quinn says he's reviewing a bill that would legalize the medical use of marijuana. We talked last week about how Lieutenant Governor Sheila Simon says that she supports it. The Democrat told the City Club of Chicago on Monday that he's open-minded on the issue, but he wouldn't say if he'll sign it into law. The measure would allow Illinois patients who already have a relationship with a doctor to be prescribed, not prescribed, people, not prescribed, be recommended a limited amount from a state-run dispensary. The legislation provides lists of more than 30 serious illnesses that marijuana can be prescribed for. That's a ton.
That's great.
I mean, the rest of us all have, this small handful, but 30, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I wonder if PTSD is one of those.
I
if
hope
they
so.
have it rather than, if they will potentially have it and we don't.
And I wonder if ADHD is on there, ADD, because I know that helps.
We can find that out, and we'll bring that out. But definitely, talk about step in the right direction. I feel like
Super good.
the governor needs to listen to the view of his constituents, and definitely if the lieutenant governor is saying that she's in support of it, and of course the Senate was in support of it. Come on, governor, this is not your state.
It would send a great message because where's our president from again?
Right.
Where was he first elected into major office?
That's right.
So, yeah. Sign the bill, Gov.
I think my dad
Don't
single-handedly worked over all of these senators. He's been sending emails to senators in Illinois for years to move medical
Good
marijuana.
for Bob Collymore.
Good for Bob Collymore. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back to our history lesson. That sound good?
Well, we'll throw some history out.
Throw some history out. You're listening to iCannabis Radio, and we'll be right back.
The law offices of Edson, Maton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Let's face it, rules and regulations are complicated, especially in the field of medical marijuana. Let Medical Marijuana 101 help you get through the compliance process. We can also explain to you your employment requirements, your employees, and your business. But our work doesn't stop there. Our experience in cultivation ranges from the design of grow rooms to the diagnosis and resolution of grow problems. Visit us at www.medicalmarijuana101.com or call 303-388-7706. That's 303-388-7706.
Green Faith Ministry is for spiritual guidance, MMJ information, and networking combined with compassionate care on the way to enlightenment with all Green Faith sacraments. Green Faith provides charity assistance, including medical and food throughout the year. Contact them at greenfaithministry.com.
Welcome back. I'm Georgia. Thanks so much for listening. You are listening to the Monday Night Show on iCannabis Radio. We were just talking a little bit about Chicago or Illinois' move towards medical marijuana legalization, crossing our fingers. Really quick, want to talk a little bit about Maine. Maine has been, we've talked about Maine a lot over these past few weeks. Maine's got so much going on, but on the Bangor Daily News, the case against legalizing marijuana in Maine. Substance abuse is a serious problem nationwide and especially in Maine. This is an article written by Dave Cannery for the Bangor Daily News. The Maine Office of Substance Abuse reports a 19.7% increase in people seeking treatment for substance abuse in 2012, and a recent study by the Rand Corporation reported a substantial increase in people seeking substance abuse treatment for marijuana in the U.S. and other Western countries. Marijuana is among the top 4 drugs in which Mainers sought substance abuse treatment along with painkillers, alcohol, and heroin. I love that they've connected marijuana with heroin.
What the hell ever happened to cocaine?
Right? I guess cocaine's not in anymore. While legalization of marijuana is enjoying popular support, the case against legalization is stronger than ever, and Maine would be ill-advised to legalize this drug. This is so fantastic. Use will increase. Legalizing marijuana will result in a significant increase in marijuana consumption for several reasons. First, it's harmless. Oh, I'm sorry, that was mine. First, marijuana will become much less expensive when it becomes a readily available and legal consumer product. Moreover, the stigma of using an illegal drug and the risk of going to court will be eliminated, thereby removing the social cost of use. Well, absolutely, and that's the whole point of legalization, is to stop criminalize people who are just using a harmless substance.
We need witch trials.
Right?
We need witches.
We haven't had any since 16 whatever.
Well, that's what all this is, really.
Yeah, it is.
An extension of that.
Consumption will be promoted by an emerging marijuana industry backed by stock market investors and hedge funds. In fact, there are already several publicly traded companies seeking to profit from marijuana. One former hedge fund manager who is on the legalized pot bandwagon describes marijuana as a brand new industry. Well, I mean, right, it is absolutely a brand new industry. First of all, there are no publicly traded companies that are sharing a profit for pot, because that would be illegal. So that's not entirely true. But yeah, absolutely, it's a new industry. It's a new industry that promotes new jobs. And
all the electricians are happy.
All the electricians are happy. The warehouses that have been empty in places all over the country are going to be filled again. And, I mean, jobs, revenue. States are happy, especially in a place like Illinois where they're going to have state-run dispensaries. But no, Maine should not have legalization, according to Dave Connery. Marijuana is a powerful drug. President Barack Obama's White House website notes that marijuana smoke contains carcinogens and causes lung irritation. Legalizing marijuana would fly in the face of our decades-long effort to discourage smoking and drug use. Talk about sending mixed messages to children.
Well, no.
I don't think my kid is confused with smoking, tobacco, and marijuana use. Like, I got to tell you, like, he knows that cigarettes are the devil. Like, he gets that. He's smart. So the mixed message to children is that marijuana is anything like heroin. A report in Scientific America states that chronic marijuana use is associated with anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar disorders, and depression. Absolutely. People try to self-medicate because pharmaceutical medications make them lethargic and antsy and uncomfortable, and their stomach hurts and all those kinds of things. So what do? They figure out a more natural way to aid them in their discomfort from schizophrenia, anxiety, bipolar, and depression. A 2010 study in the Archives of General Psychiatry found that young adults who smoke marijuana are 2 to 4 times more likely to experience psychotic episodes. The DSM-4, published by the American Psychiatric Association to classify mental disorder, lists 8 marijuana-related disorders. Now, be curious to see if those are V codes or actual diagnostic codes. I'll check that out and let you know.
Ooh.
So you can actually get a disease from smoking?
No, I mean, that's not exactly what the DSM would be saying. The DSM would be saying that there's the potential, if there's criteria to be met, that there is a cannabis dependence. That's a V code. That's not a diagnostic code. But I'll look at the DSM.
You know that because I'm
an LCSW. Yeah, that's right.
Which is an LCSW is?
A licensed clinical social worker. So I have a master's in social work. I'm a trained therapist. Right? Marijuana is more powerful today than ever, with levels of THC, marijuana's active ingredient, rising for 3 decades as the new breed of weed scientists. I love that. I want to be a weed scientist.
Weed scientist.
Right? I could just picture what they're wearing. Engineer increasingly powerful strains of the drug. Marijuana was recently legalized in Colorado, and one sales executive with Colorado marijuana marketing boasts, "Our potencies here are off the scale." I don't think in 1966 there were people doing a whole lot of testing on marijuana. So to be able to compare what our baby boomers were smoking in the 60s and what is being consumed now, unfair comparison.
Right.
So car crashes, that's the next subtitle of the case against legalizing marijuana in Maine. Tens of thousands of people are killed or injured in car crashes from drunk driving.
Okay.
All right. Well, there we go. End of story. I'm sorry. There's more. The number of deaths and injuries from impaired driving will increase if marijuana is legalized, as more people will drive while under the influence of that drug. In 2012, the British Medical Journal published a review of 9 studies on marijuana and driver safety. It found that drivers under the influence of marijuana had twice the risk of being in a car crash compared with drivers who had not used the drug.
They drive on the different side of the road. So
I think that's probably what their issue is. Well, and there have been some studies in Colorado. In fact, there's one that's going to be on CBS News tonight, which I'm a little scared to see what that report looks like. That tested some folks who had just smoked cannabis, and then they put them in a closed course with a test car and tested their driving. And there have been studies like this before, both in a simulator and in an actual car, in which kind of the results were all over the board. There were some people who did really, really well under the influence of cannabis, and there were other people who did poorly. I'm really curious if the people who did poorly do poorly all the time, or if it's
there's so many variables.
Knowing some of the people who have done these studies, I'm concerned about their driving on a regular basis, not because they're. It's true.
On a test course and having them drive and text at the same time and smoke
right.
weed as
Drive,
well?
text, and change the radio, and
Yeah.
and for me, drink a cup of coffee.
Have a conversation.
Okay, little tax benefit is the next part of this article.
Little
tax benefit. Taxes from legalized marijuana will not provide meaningful revenue to the state. Revenue projections from legalized marijuana are often based on the current black market cost of the drug. If marijuana is legalized, its cost will plummet, and with it, tax revenue projections. Well, while that could be true, that the price would go down, the users will go up. It's an untapped. So to me, any tax revenue that they get is more than you had before you taxed this item. So whether it's a little bit of money, like this author projects, it's still more than your state has.
This is for
You're
legalizing
still
medical.
offering people a safer option.
You're still offering people a safer option, and you're getting some tax revenue out of it.
This is for medical, right?
This is for pure legalization.
Pure legal?
Yes.
No way, because that'd be great.
No way, he says.
I mean, I can now go from where I live now to Maine for vacation and know that marijuana is legal there. I'm not getting in trouble for recreating in this beautiful country I've been to Maine. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
2016, they're thinking about doing an initiative there.
I mean, no taxes. What world does that guy live in?
Right. Legalization would encourage the development of a, quote, gray market, unquote, where marijuana could be bought and sold without payment of taxes. Doesn't explain how or why or what that would look like, but I'd be interested in hearing more about that. I could probably see how something like that might happen, but that's the only line in this entire article about that, so clearly he hasn't thought it through. In addition, proposals to legalize marijuana would create an entirely new state agency to monitor and enforce the marijuana laws. The agency will grow like a proverbial weed, and with it, the administrative cost of legal marijuana in Maine. Again, just like we do in Colorado, people who want to be in the business pay licensing fees, pay application fees, and those fees go to support the enforcement of marijuana by state and local agencies.
Have we found anything we can agree with Dave yet? This guy who wrote this editorial?
Let's see. I think...
He's a drug dealer.
Right? Yeah, that's right. He's the
suspect.
king of the black market.
We haven't explored the reality of that.
There's
yet.
got to be something. I don't know. Well, yeah, absolutely. It says that chronic marijuana use is associated with anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar, and depression. I mean, I think that that's true. I think, like we said, I think that people use marijuana to medicate because they prefer not to use their. I don't know if he's saying that marijuana causes those things, but I think absolutely that people with those disorders find solace in medical marijuana.
I'm
marijuana.
associating Dave with marijuana. Schizophrenia and bipolar conditions, because I happen to mention. It's mentioned in an article, an editorial he wrote.
There you go.
So there's an association between this fellow who wrote this editorial and, bipolar.
Well, and I read it in the bathroom,
schizophrenia.
and so there's also an association between. Flouting federal law is how he ends this article. Marijuana is illegal under federal law, so any legislation to legalize it would contradict federal law. Under the Supremacy Clause in Article 6 of the Constitution, the laws of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. Thus, even if proposals become law, the legal status of marijuana in Maine will be uncertain. Defying federal drug laws puts states on a slippery slope of defying other federal laws. I want to hear this. Yeah. In addition to rejecting federal marijuana laws, there are proposed state laws that make it illegal to implement the Affordable Care Act or to implement federal firearms restrictions. Our system of government is based on federalism, in which state and federal governments respect the boundaries of each other's authorities and cooperate in the gray areas. Current proposals to legalize marijuana add to a disturbing trend of disregarding federal law that will have repercussions well beyond drug policy. Well, there's some schizophrenia right there, because he talks about federalism and then turns around and talks about states' rights.
We have the right to regulate ourselves. It's in our Constitution.
Well, and just because something has always been a certain way doesn't mean it should always continue to be that way.
That man must support slavery then. If slavery was around, he would then, in my mind, he would then support it, because why would you get rid of it? Why would you get rid of prohibition?
Right, because it's always been that way.
It's always been that way, right.
It's always been that way.
Women never had the right to vote. Why should they now?
They shouldn't. Right. It's always been that way.
It's always been that way.
That's right.
I hate
that's right.
That's
same as it ever was.
Same as it. But you know what? I mean, I think that particular article is definitely in the minority in Maine. I think 2016 can be their year, for sure. Me
too.
What else you got going on, Greg?
Well, just a couple things from history. I checked out DRCnet. It's a good website, and they used to do some historical stuff. And just want to bring up some little history around this time. This is not specifically marijuana, but let me read it anyway. May 20th, 1997, 18-year-old Ezekiel Hernandez Jr. of Redford, Texas, becomes the first American to be killed on American soil by U.S. soldiers in peacetime when he's shot on his own property by camouflaged Marines involved in a joint Task Force 6 border drug interdiction operation. No drugs are found. Hernandez had never been suspected of or arrested for any criminal or drug-related activity. So I just wanted to recognize the death of Ezekiel Hernandez that took place 16 years ago today, because, well, he was a victim of our government using its wartime powers in the war on drugs, and very disturbing. And I hope we can, I just hope we don't have more Ezekiel Hernandezes over the years.
That's right. We're going to take a quick little break, and we'll be back to wrap it up in just a couple minutes.
Yeah.
High up in the Rockies is beautiful Frisco, Colorado. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is a medical marijuana center with compassion for Colorado's medical patients. Looking for great meds grown organically in soil? You've come to the right place. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies is just off I-70 at exit 203. Check them out at the web at www.mmrockies.com. Their ever-changing strain and clone selection is updated on the website daily. When making a trip to the mountains, no matter the season, stop by Medical Marijuana of the Rockies. Make sure you say you heard about them on iCannabis Radio. You can call 970-668-MEDS to get more information. Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, your mountain source for meds.
Are you a runner? Are you a runner who supports marijuana legalization? Run on Grass is a group of athletes actively seeking to change our marijuana laws. We speak the truth about cannabis, bringing the message through our feet to new ears. Check out runongrass.com to find out more about us, our events, and how to join up or how to sponsor a runner. If you're in the Denver area, please join us for runs or start a group in your area. Running not your thing? Any sport can do it. On grass. Runongrass.com.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
Hi, welcome back. Did you want to show a video, Greg, or not today? Hold on to it.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We just received news today that Ray Manzarek of the Doors passed away. Ray was a talented keyboard player. You heard him on all the great Doors songs that we know and love. And a few years ago, he appeared at a conference on marijuana, and here's what he had to say. And Chris, around 1:50, I think, would be a good place to go into. Yeah, started around 1:50.
Very important. Which year was that created? I tell people, I mean, what does it matter? It's especially if this isn't built my way. It's like years, days, they don't matter.
The Doors with
time is an ephemeral thing. Time
graffiti
is some sort of
saying pot on it.
Judeo-Christian construct. That has nothing to do with smoking marijuana. Smoking marijuana puts you into a timeless state, or a state in which you are kind of revolving with the planet in its eternal rotation around the sun. We are in outer space. I don't want to make it spooky and make it like, whoa, I'm scared, right? I don't want that to happen, but you like outer space? You're in outer space. 365 days to go around the star, 1,000 miles an hour, holding us down, gravity holding us down on the planet. Don't get scared.
You ever look at a $20 bill on weed?
Oh, we can get off
What's that eyeball on me? That eyeball.
But I liked what he said about the timeless quality that marijuana can instill in certain moments, and feeling attuned to the planet and its vibrations, not to get too mystical or out there, but, it puts one at ease about being on the earth from time to time, and I very much appreciate it for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it could do a lot of things for the earth. Back in June 1st, 1996, I wanted to mention that as well, because the anniversary of that's coming up. Actor and hemp activist Woody Harrelson is arrested and charged with cultivation of fewer than 5 marijuana plants after planting 4 industrial hemp seeds in full view of Lee County Sheriff William Kilburn in Lexington, Kentucky.
Woody.
I know Woody got off for that. He didn't go to jail or nothing, but it was a great public relations move, and he brought a lot of attention to the issue of hemp. And the issue has certainly been in the forefront here these days in Colorado. There's all these articles about people going to be planting hemp in Colorado this year, and it'd be great to see. And maybe it'll help the planet. Maybe it really will. Yeah. Maybe if we get back to more of a natural cycle, there won't be unnatural weather patterns, or they'll start to decrease a little bit. Who knows?
That's right.
But I'm all for it. I'm all for the hemp thing.
And definitely listen to the Hemp Connoisseur magazine
Exactly.
show Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. They always have some great hemp information.
Of course, he did this in Kentucky, where they had a long history of hemp growing, and growing hemp during World War II again, even after it was illegal. And these days, they're studying bringing back hemp farming into Kentucky. They're not talking about legalizing marijuana. They're still in that back-asswardness kind of mindset, but hemp for sure, and they ought to be. And to have a conservative Tea Party-esque politician like Rand Paul supporting it and speaking out in Congress is a great thing as well.
Absolutely.
That's one thing that I see eye to eye with him on, although there's not many things that
that about wraps it up.
Here and there, personal liberties, the war on drugs is a little over the top, or maybe a little more than a little, kind of a little more than a little more than a lot, but there you are. Kentucky saying we want hemp again. Colorado saying we are going to be planting hemp this year. And by gosh, we deserve a domestic source for Dr. Bronner to have hemp seed oil in those soaps so I can lather it on my body. It doesn't have to come from Canada. It can be from here, from Colorado.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Greg. As
you
always,
bet.
really
Thank
look
you for
forward to it.
having us.
Sam, thank you very much.
Sarah and
you.
Georgia.
It's been wonderful. So, as usual, it's a jam-packed week here at iCannabis Radio. Remember, Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., the John Doe Radio Show with John Doe and Bike. They are a crack-up, I have to say. They are a crack-up.
They're a pisser.
They're a pisser. And, they have a great show, very informational.
Good
and
rapport. They're very funny when they little sparks between them from time to time.
They are very funny, and you get great information, and they've got a whole range of wonderful cannabis topics. So every day from 11 to 1. And then Tuesday, 6 to 8, Sexpot Radio with Jenny Cush and Reverend Jeremy. Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m., the Hemp Connoisseur Magazine. And, of course, Monday before my show from 3 to 4 in the lab with Jennifer Murray. And, of course, I will be on every Monday. Next week is Memorial Day. I don't take Memorial Day off. We'll be celebrating veterans next week, so be sure to join us. Thanks to our sponsors, Mile High Wellness, Noto Urban Garden Supply, Cuffle Collmore and Company, Edson Maton and Matt's Medical Marijuana of the Rockies, Medical Marijuana 101, and, of course, Run on Grass. My name is Georgia, and I so appreciate every time you guys tune in, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.